And now, to discuss it all, the 5AA Sports Show with the top team in town, Stephen Rowe and Chris McDermott.
Yeah, Tex who? Monday night footy show, Rowey and Bone with you until 6. We'll cross to the Carlton St Kilda blockbuster at Etihad, and it's a big show too. 10-goal star Tommy Lynch, Port coach Ken Hinkley. So get your calls through for that, 8223 0000, or text messages, Port fans. Ken Hinkley in the studio. Robbie Walls as well, but as we said, most importantly, your calls. Get on the blower. We are interactive. Doubles of the Crow St Kilda clash, a $50 Sammy's voucher, 8223 0000. Bone.
Stephen, good afternoon. Big weekend of footy, wasn't it? I mean, the Cats win, the Hawks flex a little muscle, the Crows kick a massive... It's got 1 point off their all-time record highest score. It was such a good win. Don't know it was such a good game, but it was such a good win, and the Power will go down. Just hit a little bit of a roadblock, haven't they, over the last couple of weeks? Wonder whether it's just a hiccup or Kenny Hinkley sees more to it than maybe we're seeing. He'll join us at 5:30 and fill us in with all the details.
Well, let's start with the Crows and put it into perspective. It was a 135-point flogging, okay? GWS were terrible. 35 tackles. They had no defensive pressure or spread. The pressure acts, okay? The world record low was under 100. They got that. So, in other words, the Crows could really do what they wanted.
It's a new record.
But let's talk about the positives. Tom Lynch, 10 goals.
Outstanding. And the third quarter, his third quarter, I mean, I don't care if you're Tom Lynch, you're Jason Dunstall or you're Gary Ablett. It was absolutely magical. Had it on a string, dropped it a couple of times, missed his 10th goal. It was brilliant. It was fantastic football. And he's got to be commended because he was a star kid. And it hasn't come easy for him, but he finally made his mark and reached a significant place in his career yesterday.
Look, and it was a good 10, that one gimme on the ground in the goal square, but the rest of them he earned. So how do you say about that? The rise and rise of Sam Kerridge. If he doesn't win the NAB Rising Star this week, I'll eat my hat. Jared Lyons can play. They've got to play him. Just load him up through the midfield. VB's back. Bernie Vince. Players are building good form. But in perspective again, gee, they beat nobody in saying all of that. So what did we take from the game? If you're a Crows supporter or the Crows, Bone, what would have they taken from the game? 8223 0000, that's the question.
Yeah, I think that what you can take is the development of a couple of players. I don't know that the team could get too much, but you kick 30 goals, you'd take that against anybody. You know, there's still a couple of doubts. There's still a couple of things worrying me, and one of them is Jason Porplecia.
We've got him tomorrow. We'll have
He's Jason Porplecia. Yeah, and I know he went into the midfield, spoke to Keith Conlon on Brekkie this morning, said, gee, I enjoyed Porpoise's work. It was better. Well, Jared Lyons played for a quarter and 10 minutes and got 19 touches.
Yeah, but forget the number of touches. It's his hands. It's how clean he is, his decision-making, his use of the ball, even his kicking. The ball's coming off like a Rocket Maynard.
And he...
All those, well, that's a sledge to rocket.
Yeah, sorry, Rodney.
Rocket, but you know what I mean. Like,
the helicopter.
Nothing's clean with him at the moment, and that's his game.
And no scoreboard pressure, is there? Doesn't hit the scoreboard, impact on the scoreboard. I'd rather him touch it 10 times and kick 3 goals than touch it 18 and not trouble the score at all. So there's... And are we being too critical? I think we're being justifiable in what we're saying because he's a better player than that. He wouldn't accept it. We'll ask him all those questions tomorrow night.
How ironic, 1 week after losing Tex to a knee, a full forward kicks 10. He kicked 10. Everyone's going, Tex who? We do miss you, Tex.
Out Walker and Tippett in Jenkins and Tommy Lynch. So 14 goals from the two of them. You'd take that any day. They've got a big month coming up, a big 5 weeks of footy, the Crows, so it probably came at the right time, that game.
Just on that, they need to be 7-5 at the halfway mark. St Kilda at home, then North at Etihad, Freo at home, Sydney at home, Richmond at the G. They can afford to lose one of those. They need to be 7-5 on the turn. Have the Crows turn the corner, keeping it all in perspective, 8223 0000. Port summary for me, 37 points down at quarter time. The opposition kicked 5 goals in 4.5 minutes in time on. So with 4.5 minutes to go, they were only 7 points down. They lost by 41. Turnovers have crept in, Bone. I don't know whether you saw the stats. 10 goals to 2 Richmond kicked from turnovers. Defensive pressure has certainly dropped off. Only 54 tackles. That's a season low for them. Inside 50s the last 2 weeks, 44 and 43.
Not enough.
Just not enough generated ball inside 50. Contested ball numbers was a season low. Their scores from stoppage a season low. Their lowest possessions for a year. Now, All year they've been going for 2 kicks for 1 handball. They were 1 for 1.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of overuse, a little bit of making the wrong decision. But as we said, we'll speak to Ken Hinkley. So if you've got a question for him, 1999 1395 or give us a call, 8223 0000. It's not all doom and gloom. They had a few players out. They'll get it back.
There was a pattern, and there is a pattern developing about those slow starts. They've overcome them a couple of times and been made to pay the price for them a couple of times. You've got to improve your start. You cannot be conceding 5-goal starts to teams and expect to peg them back all the time.
But like I said, I don't think it is the start. Their first 10 minutes was terrific.
No,
And
but
against
the starts-
North, it was terrific as well. They couldn't convert.
Starts
What
longer
it
than a
is
quarter.
what it is it's 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of footy. And we're going to speak to Ken Hinkley about that. I'm not too concerned about the start. Everyone's
Aren't
going
you?
start. No, I'm not. It's about when sides get momentum, how is this group mentally adjusting to that? And we're going to get right into that with Ken Hinkley. I'm not too worried about the starts. Okay, you look at quarter time, they're 37 points down or 40. Yeah, you look at that, but it's blocks of footy.
But isn't that what wins or loses of the game? Those 10, I mean, doesn't traditionally 10
but that's
bad
not a
minutes of
start.
footy...
That's 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of bad footy where the opposition get a run on, and at this stage they haven't been able to correct it. And most sides can't. So let's have a chat to Ken about that.
Got to get their rucks right as well. I'm not quite convinced they've got that right.
Okay, the other AFL news, Melbourne Footy Club, they're going to post about a $2 million loss, okay? That's off-field. Right now they're the laughing stock of the AFL. Only 13,000 at the MCG. And lost by 10 goals to the Gold Coast. They're calling over there in Melbourne now. Mark Neeld either has to walk, AFL steps in, or that new CEO does something. I don't know whether you want to do that. But who's in more trouble, Voss or Neeld?
Oh, Mark Neeld, surely. Mark Neeld,
that
surely.
was terrible.
Mark Neeld doesn't look like he's got the cattle to have any answers, and you do feel sorry for him because he did some nice things early last year, but it is spiralling and spiralling and spiralling. The players have come out in support of him and are trying to take a couple of the bullets, but the longer this goes on, the pressure will build and build and build on Mark Neeld.
Last time I looked, Neil Craig was there. So is that a blight on his record as well?
He hasn't been there the whole time of Mark Neeld, so I don't...
Well, he has. Yes, he has.
He wasn't there last year, was he?
Yes, he
the
was.
whole time?
Yeah.
Jeez, he snuck under the radar last year. I didn't notice that. I think this is more about where the footy club. I mean, the 13,000 people. Let's talk about it in 13,000 at the MCG to watch this
And
team.
6,000 of the Crows. So 19,000 2 AFL games.
Record low it was for the Crows. That was a record low for 20 years or something of AFL football. It was diabolical. I know it was Mother's Day and people got other things on, but 5,500 people, nowhere near good enough. Kevin Sheedy tried to defend it. You can't defend the indefensible.
Okay, ex-Crow, now Gold Coast star Nathan Bock under AFL and ASADA investigation for using a banned peptide. Now, Bocky's the other player. Can you believe this, that the ACC report named way back in February? I can't believe this.
No, I wasn't looking that far away. I was convinced it was coming out of Melbourne somewhere. So that's a story that's going to build over the next 48 hours to a week or so. And not good. I mean, he's had enough trouble without having to deal with this one as well.
Now, I told you Friday, and I did bet $1 million that there would not be a stinker decision for a marking infringement. Clearly, the umpires were told during the week, only play the absolute blatant ones, Bone, didn't I? Did I not say that? There wasn't one.
I vaguely remember.
Now, I told you. Now, I want you to listen to our commentary of the game with Paddy D, because if you think there's still confusion amongst the players and the support staff and the umpires and the coaches and all of us, well, there certainly is. Listen to this bit of footage of Paddy D on the weekend who held out his opponent, took a great mark, dropped the ball, looked at the umpire because the whistle went. He didn't want to give away a 50-metre penalty. It was comical. It's confusion. Listen to this. Paddy D's in the goal square. It's a long ball coming in. Paddy D with his elbow. Holds with strength, holds with strength, holds with strength. Takes the mark. The whistle goes. Paddy D runs into an open goal. He thinks the umpire's blowing the whistle for a push in the back. Geesh, are you listening? Oh, no, it's not a push in the back. Paddy goes to kick it. He drops it. He dead set drops it in the goal square. He stops. He looks back. Umpire's looking at him. He's looking at the umpire. Paddy picks it up and soccers a goal. Jeff, if you're listening, get it right!
I marked the ball in the square, obviously, and I heard a whistle just as I was about to kick, so I wasn't sure if I'd given away a free kick and if I kicked it, if it would be 50. So I've dropped it, turned around, and then the umpire had his hands in the air, so obviously it was play on, so I just kicked it off the ground and kicked it through. So with all the conjecture around the hands in the back rule, you can never be too sure, so I didn't want to give away a 50-metre penalty.
Well, that's a calm Paddy D on our Brekkie team this morning with you, Bone, but you can't tell me there's not confusion. And the worst thing you can do when you go into battle is be confused.
Well, I think that they made a rule people complained about it. They said they were reinvestigating it or maybe going to have a look at it, and now there's complete confusion. Because this was sort of an elbow, it wasn't a push, but there was a little bit in the back, and now Paddy's confused. Now the players are confused. So we've got commentators confused, supporters confused, administrators confused, players confused. Now we're all confused. It is now worse than it was a week ago.
Well, we're going to speak to Mark Evans tomorrow as well, and he's going to have to fix up the video review system as well because that's not working. There was a score reversal on the weekend. Goal umpire said a goal to Hawks Jordan Lewis. The field umpire said, no, I reckon it was touch. So he calls for the video review. The video review says not conclusive, which means it goes to the goal umpire. Should have been a goal. But the field umpire says, no, I'm overruling. It's a point. That's a joke as well.
That's a basket. That is a disgrace.
They've got to get that right.
Well, surely you just said it. You said it right then. You said what the process was. The umpire chose to ignore the process, dropping. You know, umpires have now got to start paying the price. If they get it wrong and can't interpret simple rules, then they don't umpire next week.
Get out of there.
Correct.
And just late breaking news, Port's Jay Schulz, Bone, stung by the match review panel, being cited for rough conduct on Troy Chaplin. And I reckon Chappie evened up with him as well. So I think with a good record and an early plea, he should be right, but we're going to follow that one with interest. So we're up and about 8-2-2-3-0000. Doubles to the Crows St Kilda clash. That's on this Sunday. A $50 voucher to semis on the Marina. Mickey Godden coming up shortly. So Crows, have you turned the corner? What did you get out of that game? That's the big question. And Port fans, are you getting a little bit worried? Are you getting just a tad worried? Are you keeping the faith? There are a few worrying signs. We've got Ken Hinkley at 5:30, so get your questions through now, 1999 1395, and give us a call. We're interactive, 822 30000. Get to it!